Hello everyone, welcome to StraightA. Dawson here, back with another video here today. And today we are talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. A really interesting team, very consistent for the last 15 years or so under Mike Tomlin's tutelage, I guess. This team has just been very well-rounded throughout all of its history. Pretty good defensive side of the ball, pretty decent, all right, offensive side of the ball in past couple of years, not like the last 2 years, but before that. Especially Ben Roethlisberger, except for maybe his last year. This team has been very consistent, very good, and consistently in the running to be in the playoffs because they're 9-8, 10-7 the last couple of years. So you can never really count them out. So we'll see how they do with the new quarterback Russell Wilson and new backup in Justin Fields. So how will that shape up? Find out today. Before we get started, though, please like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment any suggestions for future videos below. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. So let's kick it off. We're going to talk about the quarterback situation. You got Russell Wilson, who is basically free right now because of the Denver Broncos contract situation, and you got Justin Fields. So you got a younger, really, I think potentially good quarterback in Justin Fields, and you got Russell Wilson, veteran, a little bit washed up, but still has a little bit of potential, a little bit left in the tank to give. How does this all shape up? Point blank, Russell Wilson is going to be the starter day one. He's going to be the starter for probably half the season. This is not discrediting Justin Fields. This is giving credit to Russell Wilson and his veteran status. Russell Wilson, give him one thing, he kind of fits his Pittsburgh Steelers offense quite well. He's just very safe. He's very consistent with the ball. He does hold on to the ball quite a bit, so we're going to be curious how that will affect the sack numbers on this team. But at the end of the day, I think that Justin Fields is there to learn a little bit from Russell Wilson. Put some pressure off Justin Fields. Let him learn from someone like Russell Wilson, who I don't think will be explosive enough for this offense to really get going, and eventually will be sat down either due to injury, due to lack of productivity, or et cetera, et cetera. Justin Fields will come in and play at least, somewhere around half the season. They'll probably split this. So either way, neither quarterback will be making a lasting impression this season, but they will both, hopefully, they'll carry the Pittsburgh Steelers to a decent season. You got the running back situation, same as last year. Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, very good duo. I think one of the better duos in terms of running backs in the league. Najee's a good, I think, reliable running back who doesn't get you crazy numbers, but he gets you that first down. Jaylen Warren, great in the pass-catching game, is also very explosive, can be very good in moderation. So, pretty good team overall. You got George Pickens, easily number one. I find him not to be as good as a lot of people claim he is, but he's still a very reliable receiver on this team, so we'll see how it goes. Van Jefferson, I don't know if he's ever been really that reliable. Quez Watkins right behind him, kind of the same case. And then everybody else behind George Pickens is pretty much non-existent. Pat Freiermuth, again, is a person who I think people say he's really productive and really good. I don't see it as much. This O-line is mostly due to coaching for this being as good as it is, with Russell Wilson coming into play and a more rush-heavy quarterback with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. I'm curious to see if the O-line can adapt to that and be able to keep the good sack numbers they've had. Past couple of years, they've kept under 40 sacks easy for this team. So I'm curious to see whether that will kind of extend to a couple quarterbacks who like holding onto the ball a little bit more. Still some talented players, just nobody notable in terms of name. Just good coaching is really what it comes down to for this team. Then you got defense. And the defense, of course, is a little bit more, it's getting diminished each year, little by little. But T.J. Watt's still there. He's still a beast. Patrick Queen, still a beast. Highsmith, still a beast. Still love this team. Cameron Hayward, this defensive line is still very good. Could potentially be very good. I have a prediction, though, that they're going to lose a lot of momentum this year. I just feel it that for a while now, we have been seeing the Pittsburgh Steelers cling on to that 9-8, 10-7, and I'm never going to count that out. I'm always going to guess that they get 9-8 unless I see something better or worse, or way worse or way better. I'm always going to say they go 9-8. However, I think last year we saw glimpses of the defense kind of diminishing off near the end of the season, especially in the playoffs. We saw that this defense just lost a little bit of steam and maybe isn't as good and as fortified as it once was. Not saying it's not going to be good. I think the pressure is going to be amazing. And in fact, I think the secondary is going to be one of the best in the league, top 5. They've been really productive in interceptions the last few years, and I think that's what's going to keep them in the game because of their way to put on pressure on the quarterback. However, I think the offense is going to let them down a little bit, where, again, last year it kind of let them down, which I thought was a main reason why the defense was so relied on, that lost steam after some time because they relied on so much each game that each team know they had to plan for the defense and not the offense. I think it's going to be kind of the same case this year. I think the offense is going to be better, but I think they've already lost steam, and teams are already looking around this defensive line and these rushers and thinking, how can I plan around this? while I think they're some of the most talented players, or one of the most talented defensive lines, I'm worried about their productivity, especially in sacks. I think they're still going to put a lot of pressure. I think a lot of O-line's still going to get nervous with T.J. Watt, Cameron Hayward, et cetera, on on the line. But I just feel something in my gut tells me that there's going to be a really close season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not the easiest schedule, but not the hardest schedule either. We'll see. That's just a gut feeling. They have been productive. They have been very good in the past. So there's no reason on paper to really count out the defensive line. Then you get the secondary: Minka, Deshaun Elliott, Dante Jackson, and you got Joey Porter Jr. That is a fucking amazing secondary. Again, I think their productivity has been insane in the past. It's going to continue to be pretty insane. I'm not going to count them out. Going into the stats, again, Kenny Pickett, last year, again, he's not the most productive and the best quarterback, and I don't think that's really going to translate. I think it's going to translate kind of the Russell Wilson and Justin Fields kind of motto. Neither one of them are very talented or, as good as they once were, or they are still learning and still haven't reached their, big ceiling. Kenny Pickett, kind of the same case there. The productivity was not there for them. The touchdowns were low. 12 games, 6 touchdowns, not good. Well, I think it's going to be better this season. I don't expect it to be much better. I will say that. Kenny Pickett was safe for the ball. I think both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson will be relatively safe, probably more so in Russell Wilson's case. Otherwise, Najee got 1,000 yards last season. I don't see that happening again. I just don't. I think that was kind of an oddity for me. I think that they relied on Najee Harris. Now, granted, they did not renew his, picked up his 5th-year contract or whatever, so he could be running to the ground where he's going to get so many yards that he's going to get 1,000 yards. Who knows? Just don't see it. George Pickens, over 1,000 yards. I just don't see him. I just don't like George Pickens. I just don't see how productive George Pickens can be. 800 yards in the past. I think it's going to be around where he's going to be more so. Even though he's the number one guy there, I just don't see him as productive as with Deontay Johnson, who honestly didn't even do that well either in the past. Both those receivers, anybody in the offense of the Steelers for the last couple of years has not benefited a whole lot. Pat Freiermuth, same case there. How productive are these guys going to really be? Van Jefferson's not a big deal. Quez Watkins, not a big deal. Who's going to be catching passes in this offense? It's going to be George Pickens, but I just don't think George Pickens is as good as people hype him up to be. Looking out there, he's a guy based on volume. He's a guy based on circumstance. I don't think much more. Looking at Russell Wilson's stats in the past, I mean, in the last few years, he's been barely cracking 3,000. Not many touchdowns either around touchdowns, here we go. 25, 16, 26. Pretty good, pretty still decent. He's able to get in the end zone, not as well as he once was. Van Jefferson has not had a productive year in a while. His second year with the Rams was a decently productive year. Outside of that, have not seen really much of anything. Will that really change? I'm not too convinced. But let's get to my stat prediction. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's go and jump right into it. Again, my prediction was Russell Wilson, Justin Fields basically split seasons, and they're gonna throw for about the same, I think. So 1,500 yards from Russell Wilson, maybe 2,000, 12 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. Justin Fields will probably get more rushing touchdowns, so like 4 in half a season, and probably about 250-ish rushing yards. Probably about the same passing touchdowns. Probably a little less productivity from Justin Fields in that end, mostly because he's a rushing guy. I don't see him in half a season doing that much better than Russell Wilson, but we'll see. Interceptions ratio will still be about the same, so I'm not going to go into much of that. But Russell Wilson will not play the whole full season. Moving forward, Najee Harris, I think we'll still scratch like a good 888 or something like that. Jalen Moore will probably be around the 678, 700 category. They'll get pretty close, but like I just don't see them doing as much as they did. Najee Harris, 7 rushing touchdowns, still pretty good. 1 less than last year. Still a good prediction. George Pickens. Again, I put him on the higher side of the 800. I think he's going to be right at 899. He could possibly scratch 900, but I don't have enough slots there to really feel comfortable putting him there. I just don't think he's as good as some other wide receivers, so I'm going to put him in this category. 7 receiving touchdowns. I still think he's going to be probably one of the big merchants in the end zone for this whole team because there's really not many people. He could maybe go down to 6, but it's pretty clear. Van Jefferson, I think, will kind of have slight bounce back. He'll be relied on a little bit more. 2 receiving touchdowns, 500 yards. Pat Freiermuth, similar, 500 yards, 4 receiving touchdowns because he's a tight end. And this is me giving him benefit. He has not produced like that, last year. So, like, I don't really see this from him. But I'll give Pat Freiermuth a little bit of benefit of the doubt. O-line, I debated on this one as well. I'm going to keep him at 30 to 40 sack category. I think this coaching scheme is just too good, and I think that working with Russell Wilson and especially Justin Fields, who's not necessarily sack heavy on, I think will not be as produced in this offense. I think they'll get very close. And if they do, they probably do get the 43, 44. But I'm going to keep them in this category for now. Then sack prediction. This is probably where I'm going to get the most hate. I've really given a lot of defenses the benefit of doubt when it comes to the sack numbers, and as a result, I've really ran out of really good slots to put the Steelers in. So I do believe if you want a safe prediction, the Steelers are going to get 45 sacks. I think that's a pretty safe prediction, pretty safe over-under type bet. I would still probably take the under. Something in my gut just tells me this is nothing based on any circumstance at all, not based on previous stats at all. This defense is still easily capable of getting 45-plus sacks. I just have a gut feeling that something's going to happen with this defense where it's going to snowball out of control, where they're barely going to scratch up into the 40 category. They're going to get like 38, 39, and just be short. I think they're still going to be a great defense, especially in the secondary, where I think they'll get 19 interceptions. I think that's pretty. 18 and 19 is where I've been landing for them. They've gotten 17, 20, 19 in the past. They're going to easily do it again. This secondary is awesome, and with how much pressure the defense can put on and the teams that they're facing, I think this is easily very capable for them to do. Now, as for the win-loss category, it's Pittsburgh Steelers, so you know they're at least 9 wins in my book. But I think they're exactly 9 wins. I think they're going to go 9-8. The reason is that they split with their division. That's 3-3. They face the Chiefs and the Cowboys. I think they lose both those games. I'm sorry, I don't see them winning both those games. I see them winning 2 of these next 3 games. Because the Jets, Giants, and Chargers all very beatable. But is it really? So 5-6 there. Then you got the Falcons. I think they could possibly lose there. I think they could possibly lose against the Commanders. I think they could possibly lose against the Broncos. I give them 2 wins there, I guess, but barely. Then I give them 2 wins in the Raiders, the Colts, and the Eagles. 9-8. They could go 10-7. They've been doing that. But I think this is a pretty much solid 9-8 schedule. They face off like 4 or 5 pretty good teams, very beatable across the board. Now, granted, me saying that is they're probably going to lose to a random team like the Commanders, but beat like the Eagles or something. They always do that kind of thing. So, whatever. They're gonna make up for it one way or the other. They're gonna end up 9-8. I'm not really gonna question that. They're in this category. Move on. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like down below if you do enjoy the video, and comment any of your critiques on this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.